Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? Welcome to the Just Chatting Gaming News and Trailers for the week of April 8th. We have a bunch of Star Wars stuff to talk about and to show. We've also got trailers for Everspace 2. We got some Diablo stuff, some Overwatch stuff, but in general, just a lot of Star Wars stuff. Star Wars Celebration happened this last weekend. And, or for those who are watching this live, it's still technically happening. We're recording this on Sunday. But yeah, we have a presentation for Star Wars Jedi Survivor that we're going to take a look at. And they also released a brand new trailer. I think it's maybe the final trailer before the game releases. So the first thing we're going to watch is from the Star Wars Celebration live stage. I think the guy is the game director, came out to talk about the game, and then from there some other stuff happens, and then we get to see the trailer. So without further ado, we will jump right into that. So here we go. Oh, timeout. I got the El Gato. There we go.
One of the biggest games of 2019 was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
I will say that apparently there was something said in this interview.
It's been a long 4 years since
that was like
with
incorrect.
Cal Kestis and BD1, but all that's
but
about
we'll
to
see.
change later this month.
I haven't seen this yet, so
on the brand new sequel,
I just
Star
know
Wars
there was
Jedi
some stuff
Survivor.
trending on Twitter.
Here to talk about the game is its director, Stig Albertson.
I got a lot of people there in that room.
Oh! Been trying to get you through those blast doors for 4 years, man. Where you been?
Working on a game.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Fallen Order was a favorite game of mine, I think for a lot of other people, I think we can say. I have fawned over it one-on-one with you a million times. When you are building off of a game that is already so polished and so well-loved, where do you go? What do you do?
It's a good question. For us, it was recognizing that we had something that was really good and not messing with it. We didn't want to tear down all the hard work that we put into the first game that fans recognized. They loved playing the game. So we just looked at our 4 pillars and we refined them.
Yeah.
We added more seasoning across the board. The game's bigger and better. And there's another pillar that we added too, is customization. And that became a focus for us.
Something the players wanted,
Yeah.
but
So let's talk about story, because I have spoken to a lot of Star Wars fans, and it has been amazing to me to hear how many people say the crew of the Mantis is their favorite crew. Cal Kestis is their favorite Jedi.
I think the possibility of seeing this in live action is pretty high.
Characters are a huge part of Star Wars for people. And where did you want to take the story knowing that?
Are you talking about for Fallen Order or Survivor?
For Survivor.
Well, we were really happy with the way the story turned out for Fallen Order. And let me say, it came hot in the end. We barely got the thing done. For Survivor, it wasn't about changing anything. It was about continuing the story. We already introduced them in the first game, like the main characters, Cal, BD, Seer, Marin, Grease.
Grease!
I don't think this game's gone gold yet.
Introducing them for this game, so we were able to, really focus on kind of getting inside their heads.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're rushing to get it done.
This game it's gonna be darker, and it's gonna be more emotional than the first one.
Love it.
I'm gonna Google that real quick.
So let's talk about combat. you know, you're talking about these 4 pillars. How is the combat system evolving? I had a lot of fun just getting my force powers, swinging my saber around in the first one. How did you improve on that for this one?
You just played it recently too.
I did. I got to go to one of the preview events. They had some people out, some press out, and you let me play the game for a few hours, and whoo, it's good.
Yeah, there's no info about the game going gold.
You can do a lot with those sabers now. You can do a lot.
Yeah. It's, again, with combat, it wasn't changing. It was just honing and refining. And I guess the big new feature that we have this time around is we're going from, 2 fully realized stances to 5. And because of that, we've got more, we also have more force powers. I mean, the skill tree is exponentially bigger. And, the players, you're all going to get a chance to kind of, build out Cal and how he becomes full Jedi mastery the way that
I'm really
you want.
interested in the blaster
and that
stance.
was a major goal for us.
It feels so good. There's the new saber stance, the dual wield. I love I call it animal style. I like to go in animal style and dual wield with Cal, and it is so satisfying to just come in with both arms swinging, flying around. It feels good.
Yeah, I heard somebody recently made a comment that it feels like Cal's basically a human propeller.
Yes.
In this game, which I thought was pretty accurate. But yeah, the dual wield, we had a version of that in the first game.
Have you not seen the Inquisitor saber?
Another thing that came in hot. We weren't able to get it across the finish line as a completed stance. So that was one of the first things that we had on this game before we started working on the last 2.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then, of course, there are new planets that we're exploring, and these environments are beautiful. And not only are they beautiful, but all of the nooks and crannies and the little side tunnels and hidden things, it just feels so much more dense than the first game. Like, there's so much more to do.
Yeah. So just to talk about planets, we did the preview event recently, and Kobo was a big reveal.
Yeah.
And
Kobo?
it's a massive planet. Yeah. It's like nothing that we've ever done before. But to be honest with you, we learned a lot making the first game, and we took those learnings into how we approached making these larger places on the second game. And the first game, it would be more kind of like Cal approaches the environments with verticality, but they could be very somewhat narrow paths.
Yeah.
This game we have wide verticality.
Yeah, it felt huge.
Yeah.
And the amount of different ways I could get around now.
Just limited by your abilities.
Wonder what the
Yeah.
play time is going to be on this game.
Like we're taking our Metroidvania approach a step further. And just to talk about another planet, we're going to have Coruscant as well too. I think there's been a lot of speculation on that, and just confirming it here.
Wow. Wow, Cal's going to Coruscant. That's good. And another thing that I loved about the new planets is, about Kobo in particular, is it feels very lived in. There is a village that you can visit and interact with. There are characters now that when you're talking to them, they're like, hey, Cal, can you help me out with something? And you build relationships with these characters in a way that's
yeah, the first game didn't really have a lot of side characters.
Yeah, it's interesting. On the first game, we were kind of like Cal. We were just learning our way. We were new, team formed together. We had to get to know each other.
I mean, it did in the opening sequence when you were on the scrapyard.
And on this
but
game,
after that, it was basically just like you and the Mantis crew and the enemies and
more deliberate about our actions, and we were able to take on much greater challenges with how we approached some of these locations, and like you mentioned, the fidelity is really high.
Yeah.
Our environmental storytelling game has gone up, and we're also taking advantage of the new hardware. We're getting the full ray tracing treatment, which gives us beautiful lighting.
Yeah.
With
155 gig install chat.
Fidelity.
155.
Yeah, there was a jungle area that I went through in the demo
Stunning.
that you had for me, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
And just having the more power with the CPUs, GPUs,
Yeah.
faster SSDs, it's really allowed us to kind of operate at a more precise level.
Yeah.
And do bigger things.
It's interesting because Survivor really, Fallen Order really kind of was like coming in at that time where it could almost straddle the next gen. And this feels very, very next gen. And I love that.
Yeah.
We don't use those words. It's not
And
next gen, it's current
not
gen.
just in the ooh-ah shiny way, but like it really feels like you're saying you're taking
There is no
advantage of
next
all that new
gen.
stuff to make the world bigger, to make things more seamless, to make it feel just like that much better.
Yeah, it was. That was all the talk when.
I mean, technically, from an engine standpoint, UE5 is next gen, but that's not tied to like
it, but like we need to dive
a
into
box,
this now.
you know.
How's Cal? What's going on with Cal when we start this game?
I don't want to spoil anything,
Yeah,
but
sure.
if you want, you could just ask him yourself.
What?
I'm sorry. Is he? Ladies and gentlemen of Star Wars Celebration 2023, Cal Kestis himself, Cameron Monaghan.
He's wearing a poncho.
We have an issue here.
I'm sorry, what is the issue?
Well, see, Anthony, Stig, you're talking about the story, gameplay, characters, but you haven't mentioned a poncho.
You're going off the script here, Cam.
I wasn't supposed to come out here today, but we have to get to the bottom of this. Stig. Can you confirm here today, will there be a poncho in the game?
I told you we weren't going to talk about this today.
See, it's in my contract. I would only agree to be in the second game if there was a poncho. You think it was because of your story that people played the first game? No.
That's great.
Poncho.
After so
Here's
many
the thing,
people made
a lot
fun
of
of it.
people don't know this, but when you ask Cameron, like what elements of him and his personality and who he is went into Cal Kestis, he said it's mostly ponchos.
It's mostly poncho. It's 99% poncho.
You see this guy walking around town, ponchos all the way down.
I mean, I'm not gonna leave the stage until we find out whether or not there's a poncho.
Well,
You're not going to get an answer.
Blink once if there's a poncho.
What was that?
Blink once if there's a poncho.
you don't. Okay, let's get this back on track. Let's get this back on track. Here's a real question.
Yes.
It's not poncho related.
Okay.
So be
It's gonna be hard.
It's okay. Be prepared for this.
Okay.
How has Cal evolved since we last saw him? What's going on with him?
Well, first thing I noticed is he's not wearing a poncho.
Cameron!
Right.
Pretty good.
Now, it takes place 5 years later. It's a bad time for Cal. It's a bad time for the galaxy. The Empire is more in control than ever. He's been on the run. He's broken up and disbanded from the Mantis crew. Nowhere safe. And
Did you make Grease mad? You better not have made Grease mad. I'll be so mad at you.
I mean, how do you know that Grease wasn't the issue?
Because I
you
know
seen him?
Grease.
He's never worn a poncho once in his life.
Oh my God, Cameron!
Never trust a man who doesn't wear a poncho.
So the crew's been split up.
It's been split up, and we've watched Cal kind of evolve and change over these last few years. And so he's grown more distrustful, he's more wary, and it's kind of, it's reflected in the way that he interacts with the world around him. And over the course of the game, he's given this spark of hope, and that hope kind of drives forward the story. And I don't want to say where it goes from there, but it's pretty incredible.
Nice. And you obviously have an amazing team of developers, an amazing cast.
Yeah, I think a lot of the team members are here right now.
Yeah, a lot of y'all are here.
Shout out to Jedi.
Shout out to Respawn. So many amazing developers, such an amazing cast. the game, you know, obviously fan response was wonderful. How did it feel for the two of you to be jumping back into this galaxy and coming together again to tell more stories?
We knew we wanted to do this before we finished the first game, so it was, I mean, we had been talking about it, so it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, while we were finishing the first game, we were starting to have conversations about where we wanted to see the story go and what we wanted to do with these characters. We have an amazing cast and crew. People like Deborah Wilson, who plays Seer, incredible. Tina Ivlev, who plays Marin.
We got some Night Sisters right there.
Danny Roback as Grease. And we also have incredible people on the production side as well. A lot of our story team are really incredible, and our performance director, Tom Keegan, came back as well. And a lot of it was, we felt that there was a recipe that really, really worked, and I think everybody wants to capture lightning in a bottle twice and do so much more with it than we did with the first one. So, you know, I think that we were all hoping that we would have the opportunity to be able to tell more story, and we feel honored to be able to talk more about Poncho's Poncho gameplay.
Yeah.
They'll make a third game.
The thing is, too, I think it needs to be said, I think you understand the character of Cal better than anybody. And, I mean, you've taken it to a new level on this game, and you've really gotten it into his head because you basically are inside of his head. So it's been fantastic working with you.
I mean, thank you. But once again, I think that the Poncho in the first game did the heavy lifting.
You gotta...
And yet neither of those two guys are wearing ponchos.
It's hard to say no. Being very persuasive, all the people here. But I'm going to say I don't know.
Listen.
It's a betrayal, Stig. I'm hurt.
I want you two to be able to talk through this in private without people. Can we just like put up some B-roll? Do you have anything that we can show while you two work this out?
Well, we did bring the final trailer, but I don't know. I don't think anybody wants to see it. Do you guys want to see it?
Let's do it.
There isn't a poncho in it, but there's some really cool stuff. Should we roll it?
Yes. Let's check it out.
Here we go.
You were only a child when they sent you off to war. Now look at you. The weight of a galaxy on your shoulders.
Didn't I tell you to be more careful about who you scan? Come on.
I cannot tell you who you must become, or where the line is drawn.
Oh, that's crazy.
There are no easy choices. These are dark times. We have few allies.
Good to see you, Cal.
The odds are against us. And they will always be against us.
Now or never.
I think the co-op gameplay or moves with your companions can be really cool.
But I can tell you this. If there is any hope of surviving, we must stand against the darkness.
We're what, 3 weeks away?
I have to admit, Even without the poncho, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I did notice one or two places where a poncho could go, but you're right, I think it's good. And also, I saw a lot of people clapping when that Rancor come up. You think you want to fight that Rancor, you don't. I spent 30 minutes trying to fight that Rancor, Stig. It was not easy.
It's tough.
It was not
Rancor's
easy.
got to be tough.
So this looks absolutely amazing. One thing that stuck out to me immediately was this very, very large boy that you are fighting, this big bad. He's very, very impressive. Who is this?
So his name is Ravis, and he's Gendai. And he's the leader of a gang called the Bedlam Raiders that are like, they're kind of the kind of bad gang in on planet Kobo.
Okay, yeah, he looks very intense. Very intense.
He's literally a wrecking ball.
I love it. I also saw some moments where it looks like Cal is calling in a friend or partnering up with somebody to pull some things off.
Yeah, that's what we termed as characters and gameplay, or SIGs, and kind of building off of you know, how we dipped our toes into the water with BD on the first game, having a buddy AI. What we learned from that, we decided to have more opportunities for Cal to, like, you know, negotiate the worlds, whether it's through combat or through environmental puzzles with a friend. And the story's being told like the whole time.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, it looks like, and everybody that you partner with obviously has their own strengths. Talking about those characters, we saw some very intense moments. What was it like for you working with these characters again and working with these people again one-on-one?
I mean,
Something about ponchos.
We have incredible, you know, not only our returning cast, but we have a bunch of new characters as well. We have an actor named Noshir Dalal, who is incredible. He's a new friend and ally for Cal named Boda Kuna. And we have an actor named Cody Fern, who's incredible as well, and a bunch of people who we can't say now, but we were on the performance capture stage for the last 2 years working on it, and I can say that there was a lot of really incredible performances that were given and some very special moments, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the size of the NPC cast, it just trounces how many NPCs that we had in the last game. So the story is unquestionably bigger. And one thing I want to mention as well, too, that trailer that we just saw, everything's real. There's nothing in there that's pre-rendered cutscene. It's all on the fly, real hands-on-sticks gameplay. So it's something that we're very proud of. And that's been the way that we've done all of our trailers. So just expect that kind of pedigree with this team.
Ooh.
That's not true.
Ooh.
Their first trailer was
you all wondering, I was
full
thinking
CGI.
It too. That means that speeder sequence was real. That looks intense. Here we go. This is it. We mentioned it. The people are waiting. They want to know. Customizable. Customizable elements to Cal. What are we doing? Bring it on.
So like I said before, this became...
I'm waiting.
So like I mentioned before, this became... We made things like ponchos on the last game.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and we got... there were some people out there that weren't happy with them.
No.
And... we decided that we thought we really nailed the way that we did the customizable parts for the lightsabers. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to give the lightsaber treatment to all of Cal and BD. So they're real high value parts that you can swap and switch to your heart's content. I don't even know how many permutations or combinations that you could do. But it was something that we put a huge amount of effort into on this game, and I hope people appreciate it.
I can tell you, just in the demo that I played, if you don't mind me saying, just in the demo that I played, I had picked up a few different outfits for Cal, and they all looked incredibly different. I had like the classic Star Wars bomber jacket. I had something that kind of looked.
I believe
like
they've said that there's
Clone
actually
Wars era
vendors
armor
now.
with like a cape.
You can go and you can buy outfits as
There
well.
were so many different things. So many things.
A
so
cape
many.
is almost like a rear punch.
Yeah, think of it as the mullet of ponchos.
Okay, you're selling me a little bit.
Which, by the way, the mullet is also very good.
You want to talk about the mullet?
The mullet is, it's a Jedi in the front, the party in the back.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's, maybe that'll be the canon look. I'm not sure, but I think I like classic Cal.
I think canon look is probably the mullet and the handlebar mustache. I think that's probably. But I love how much customization has been put into this, and even with something like the sabers, you can do more with the sabers now, which I really loved. I was telling Cam that I made the most like custom chromed out like candy apple paint job saber that I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's some things that you can do in there that honestly make me cringe. But we want to make sure that, like, there's people out there that want to do cringy things, and that's fine. We want to be able to give everybody that opportunity if that's how they want to play.
That's how I'm going to be playing it for sure.
Yeah. How did it feel to see what it would be like if you could grow a full beard? Was that amazing for you?
Well, in the first game, Cal had the most luxurious hair out of pretty much any character I've ever seen.
He did.
Ever.
We talked a lot about his hair.
And so, I feel like the natural progression was to have one of the most amazing beards that you could ever find. And there are some serious beards.
There really are.
I think everyone here should be envious of the glorious beard of Cal.
I was envious. I was like, wow.
And in a way, a beard is kind of like a poncho for the face.
It's a face poncho. Beard comes from the Latin for face poncho, I think. Well, this looks amazing. I want to thank you all for coming out and sharing this with us. I mean, before you go, is there anything that you'd like to say to the fans, to everybody here at Star Wars Celebration? We've got some Cals and some Marins up front here.
And not a single poncho on any of them.
That's what I said.
There's a poncho!
Poncho!
There's a poncho! Yeah! Thank you. Honestly, all I can say is we're very proud of this. I know that everyone who's working on something for a long time is proud of it, but we're especially proud of this thing. It's been an amazing few years, and we can't wait for people to see it. And the one thing I also want to say to people is, please don't spoil it. Please. The ending to this game is so cool. It's my favorite thing that we've gotten to do so far. It's so freaking cool. So whatever you do, don't give it away, and enjoy it. And,
Problem is going to be YouTube videos.
Maybe try to find a poncho?
I just want to thank all of you. I mean, this is overwhelming, all the support. And we do it for all of you. And that's the truth. We do it for all of you. And, there's nothing more special than putting a smile on somebody's face, and this game does that. This series does that. And last but not least, big shout out to the Jedi team at Respawn, and those of you who made it here, and all of you back home in LA and other parts of the world, and our partners at Lucasfilm, and it's the support that we get internally and from all you is incredible, and we really appreciate it.
We couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
And Respawn's working on like 2 other Star Wars games
really
too.
Special, and y'all should be proud of it. I cannot wait for people to see it. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on April 28th. Thank you all so much for stopping by today. We really appreciate it. Give it up for Stig Amundsen and Cameron Monaghan. More to come live from Star Wars Celebration. Don't go anywhere.
He's giving away his poncho.
I'm here with Neil Scanlon from the Creature Shop. You.
All right. That was a very good presentation. I actually feel like I'm more hyped
Taking a
about.
couple minutes to show us.
I'm more hyped about that game now than I have been this entire time. That was a very good presentation. All right, moving on. Hold on, let me change my music here real quick. As I mentioned earlier, there was a Star Wars tabletop game that was announced this morning. It's called Star Wars Rivals. And there was actually a little bit of a trailer for it. We'll watch this trailer here real fast.
This is a message for all out there. Light side and dark side are clashing once more. Who will answer the call of the Force? Who will join the battle in Star Wars Rivals? The expandable game system from Funko. No one knows which enemies you will face, where your actions will lead you, which worlds you will conquer. But you are not alone. As new heroes will rise with you, with unique powers to decide the fate of the galaxy. Star Wars Rivals. The journey begins with Funko.
A new subscriber arrives. It fills you.
So yeah, there's that. Too bad it's not. So they're doing some exclusive stuff at Walmart. It looks like, but yeah, it's kind of a mix of figures with cards, and it's a one-on-one style game. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that, see if it's any good. Kind of interesting. But that is going to wrap up our Star Wars segment of this. Now we got a bunch of other trailers to take a look at. But yeah, all the Star Wars Celebration stuff over the last 3 days has been a lot of fun. A lot of really cool interviews and presentations and panels and all that fun stuff. I'm sure most of you who are watching either the stream or the video probably saw there was 3 new Star Wars movies announced, and they were showing off more for the Acolyte and Ahsoka and a bunch of other cool stuff. So yeah, a very, very cool, very successful last 3 days for Star Wars celebrations. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the other games we got coming out. We're going to go ahead and start things off with the launch trailer for Everspace 2. So here we go.
The only objects of real value are ancient things. Like the one you just brought to me.
It calls me, but not on any wavelength I know.
What do I care about another damn war? That's my fortune out there. I've waited too long for it already.
What you see is an opportunity. What I see is something sacred.
Yeah, it's almost like an X-Wing.
If you are discovered, I will deny any knowledge of your existence. And as a fugitive Roslyn clone, I will be obligated to hunt you down.
Blakemore is obsessed with archaeology. The interest goes beyond historical.
Looks like it could be a lot of fun. We'll be playing this and streaming this tomorrow.
Well, you want to play the hero? Here in the DMZ, I call the shots.
It's out now. All right, cool. All right, next up, this is a video that I've been waiting for some time. This is the Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp Overview trailer. Apparently, this game was very, very good back in the day. They've done a complete, reboot of it. And we've seen some trailers for it, but I want to see some actual like gameplay and see what this is all about. So let's take a look. This is like 5 minutes long.
Tan Hut, up and at 'em, recruit. Today begins your basic training for the Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp game. This game features tactical turn-based battles and a colorful cast of characters who will keep you on your toes. We'll cover some strategies to make sure you're in tip-top shape when you hit the battlefields. All right, troops, roll out. While you work your way through the 2 separate story campaigns, you'll control several different commanding officers, commonly referred to as COs. Your mission? Defending from opposing nations. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's make sure you understand
the basics of battle.
Maps are grid-based, and units can only move a certain number of spaces per turn. Depending on their type, some units can cover more distance, and others have advantages on different terrain. For example, soldiers can only move so far because they're on foot, but vehicles can cover a lot more ground. Now, when it comes to crossing a forest or mountain range, your soldiers are better suited for the trek. March! A unit's type also determines its range of attack. Infantry units can only attack adjacent enemies, but artillery units can cause damage from further away. As units take damage and lose HP, they'll also inflict less damage on their foes. You do have the option to join units together, though, healing them back up and replenishing their ammo. Once your units have acted and you end the turn, your opponent gets to make their moves.
It's kind of neat on how it's like you're playing an anime, kind of.
Now, let's cover how you can gain
the tactical advantage.
In a typical battle, you'll need to capture your opponent's HQ or defeat all their units to secure the win. We have a good number of units on the battlefield, but we could use a little extra firepower. By selecting one of your controlled bases, you can build more units, assuming you have the funds. More controlled properties equals more moolah. You'll want to deploy units that are effective against the opposition. There's no such thing as the perfect army, so I recommend experimenting with all types to adapt to the situation. Perfect timing to introduce
CO powers.
During exchanges with your opponents, this meter will fill up, and you'll be able to use a CO power. Extraordinary abilities that, when used at the right time, can turn the tide of battle.
I can fix anything.
The Orange Star's Andy can use a CO power called Hyper Repair. This restores HP to all his units and increases their defense.
That seems OP.
Eagle of the Green Earth Army has a CO power called Lightning Strike, which allows his units that have already acted to move again. There's a wide variety of CO powers at your disposal, so figure out which best suit your playstyle. Ba-boom! By the way, this version of Advance Wars has a couple handy new features. Want to speed up the action? Just hold down the ZR button to cruise through dialogue and combat animations. There's also a shiny new reset turn option that allows you to, you guessed it, reset the current turn. Following along so far? Good, because we're not done yet. Hoorah! If the campaign isn't enough for you, then try your hand at
the War Room.
Here you can test your tactical prowess in a wide array of different challenges with the CO of your choice. Try to get the top ranking. Still want more? Then try
Versus Mode.
Square off locally against up to 3 human or computer opponents on one Nintendo Switch system, or wirelessly across 4 systems if each player has the game. Looking for more colorful battles elsewhere? Then take your tactical mind to the internet in
Online Mode.
You and a friend can compete head-to-head.
What if they're going to charge full price for this?
Tussle. You'll both need a Nintendo Switch system and the game, as well as active Nintendo Switch Online memberships. There are a few other modes where you can spend some time, including
the Design Room.
Here, you can create
custom maps, nice,
and share them online or through a local wireless connection. You can also pay a visit to the local commissary called
Hachi Shop.
The Orange Star Army's local chatterbox Hachi is ready and willing to separate you from your in-game coins in exchange for additional battle maps, COs who can be used in the war room and multiplayer modes, and more. Finally, there's an in-game gallery. Enjoy music and artwork you've obtained from Hachi's shop, among other assorted sundries. It's a great way to reminisce and relive fond memories. Attention! All right, recruit, we've reached the end of your training. Ready to show off everything you've learned? Prove you've got what it takes when Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp marches on to Nintendo Switch April 21st. You can be ready to deploy on launch day by pre-ordering the game on Nintendo eShop.
Yeah, game looks all right. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on reviews for that. It looks really good. All right, next up, we have a launch trailer for a game called Marfusha, if I'm saying that correctly. Let's take a look. She's got a gun. It's a weird gun. It's like a rail gun. It's like if Kojima were to make a pixel art game. Okay, then. All right, next on the list, we have a new game announcement. Let's see what we got here.
In the year 2351, we discovered Baltarus, an exoplanet located thousands of light years from Earth. Buried beneath the silica crystals, we found Balterium, an element so unique it has the potential to power our society for generations to come. When we first landed there, we thought we were alone. We could not be more wrong.
This is an RTS? Oh, wait. No? Oh, wait, what? But they're like showing first-person shooter stuff. Oh, wait, it's both?
Holding position. Red Hulk is on the way.
Looks really nice. Uh-oh, it's the big one. That game looks cool. I want to know more about it. I don't know off the top of my head of another game that's done both RTS and shooter. I'm assuming it's doing a thing where you deploy your units and then you could click on a unit and you just control it. Next up, we have another announcement trailer for another game. Apparently, this is a sequel. I've never heard of this series. I guess we'll see if anybody in chat has heard of this this game. Hammerwatch 2? Anybody ever played Hammerwatch 1? Co-op mode. Well, there you go. All right, next up, I don't know if Ron Allen is here or not, but we got to jump into Ron Allen's favorite game here. A new hero is being introduced into Overwatch. The hero's name is Lifeweaver. So we have the origin story and gameplay trailers. So let's take a look at the new Overwatch hero.
A perfect world is a perfect prison. They taught us uniformity is strength, like links in a chain. That there was a formula for success that we all must follow. But I've never been much of a follower. So I stepped away, beyond their lifeless gardens, into the wild, wider world, to explore its infinite beauty. And I learned that our home needs help. Each step has led me closer to understanding how passion and calculation, failure and resilience, science and life, all brought together, can lead us to something honest, vital, true. Perfection is overrated. Our strength lies in our differences, in our compassion, our willingness to grow. I have brought nature and technology together to create a new possibility. And I will heal our world.
Interesting. All right. This guy is a support class. I do know that. So let's see gameplay.
Press the attack!
A little care always helps.
Don't give up. This is our fight to win.
Being down just makes the comeback all the more exciting. Let's perk you up. You're blossoming. Lucky I was here, huh?
I don't know if people are gonna like that.
My platform is here. Hand forward. Shall we do this together? Leave this to me. Life unbridled.
It's like a big old AoE heal. Probably his ultimate.
Spend every moment growing into who you truly are.
The thing that I was saying that I didn't think people would like is the pull. Whenever any game introduces a character where like, I'm gonna pull you to me, that drives people nuts. Especially like, maybe you're in position as a DPS and you're sitting there, you're doing, you're hitting a guy, all of a sudden this guy's gonna come pull you out of position. That's not gonna fly. People are gonna get very upset by that. See, the example that they gave here was there was a Symmetra, I think, that was being knocked out of bounds, and this guy like pulled her to safety. The out of bounds stuff in this game happens so fast. The fact that he would have the reflexes to actually make this save, one, you'd have to be like looking for it. That's like gonna be, not unless they slow that down. Yeah, that's not going to be a good move. No, that's going to be a problem. All right, final trailer of the day. This has caused a little bit of controversy. This is for for Diablo 4. It's called Into the Endgame, where they talk more about the endgame stuff. I haven't seen this yet, but I just know the chatter on the internet is people were not very happy with this. So I guess let's see why.
We're really excited about getting this game into players' hands, letting them experience this massive world.
A main cornerstone of D4 is play.
Oh, one other quick thing I want to mention. It is absolutely amazing what the Diablo 4 beta did for the ARPG community. Path of Exile on Friday launched their new league, and they had the biggest numbers they've ever seen. And then even a little bit before that, because you had the closed beta weekend, you had the open beta weekend. As soon as those weekends ended, all of a sudden everybody started playing Last Epoch. So, Diablo 4, this game is going to be massive. And since people can't play Diablo 4 right now, they're going to these other ARPGs and they're just blowing them up. It's pretty crazy.
Play your way. As a player continues to advance through the story and into the endgame, they'll unlock a ton of brand new activities that provide meaningful progression, no matter their playstyle.
Players will be able to keep progressing in the narrative of the game. Alongside that, the whole team has worked on crafting a variety of different experiences players can pursue.
We're going to have an entire world of Sanctuary for our players to offer. There's going to never be an absence of something to do.
After the player has finished the campaign, there's a lot more game to go and participate in. They gain access to a special, what we call capstone dungeon that they have to complete. Once they're able to finish this capstone dungeon, they're going to gain access to the first world tier.
As you complete the world tier, it will open up the opportunity for you to go into your next world tier. That involves unlocking powerful loot, new items, and more advantages for your player to have a better opportunity at end game.
Whether you're a fan of dungeons, PvP, or just roaming around the world, there's a way to continue your Diablo adventure long after hitting max level. As your character continues to grow in power, you'll start with the skill tree and expand out into the Paragon system.
A lot of the choices the players make are grounded on skills themselves and the fantasies associated with those skills. The Paragon board is a place where we're allowed to have a lot more depth, a lot more.
Yeah, they haven't shown this very much because I don't know if they're actually done with the artwork. But the Paragon board is inspired by Path of Exile. It's gonna be pretty crazy.
More customization, many more options as you go.
You can rotate the board, so you can choose a different path if you're like, I want to do more strength-based things, or I want these particular.
And it looks like you can go down.
You can chart your path through it, and they're really a way for you to keep expanding your character and making it uniquely yours.
Similar to the Paragon boards is the Codex of Power. It's an in-game system that holds the aspects related to the character. You are able to complete a dungeon, and they will have a chance to drop an aspect that you can pick up.
And what this allows players to do is take items they're finding in the world and make them more powerful, turn them into legendary items.
It's really special to discover what kind of playstyle really means the most to you. Every part of Sanctuary is fulfilling and satisfying. Dungeons in particular are really close to my heart. Nightmare dungeons are going to give the players the opportunity to experience a dungeon that they might have already experienced in their past playthroughs. They'll enter the dungeon with a found sigil that alters the playstyle and the intensity of the dungeon.
They're more difficult.
Yeah, there's over 100 dungeons.
They have additional objectives, and then they also have affixes, which add a degree of difficulty for you and your group to work through.
One of my favorite affixes that you can find in Nightmare Dungeons is actually called Hellgate. Occasionally, these portals will open up throughout the area that will just pour out different monsters that aren't native to that region for you to also be dealing with while you're trying to handle everything else inside the dungeon. There's over 120 dungeons to play through and find in Diablo 4, and any one of them can become a Nightmare Dungeon by finding a Nightmare Sigil and then using it to activate the Nightmare version of that dungeon space.
Everything's a little darker, everything's more difficult. It's going to add a little bit of a twist of flavor on your particular dungeon.
There's some targeted activities in Diablo 4 that suit what you're feeling in the mood for.
The Forces of Hell are starting to have more influence in certain parts of Sanctuary in the vast interconnected overworld that we experience. And as the players are going into Helltide areas, they're gonna find even more powerful monsters. And by killing them, they'll be able to gain these special shards they can take to go and use to purchase these big rewards that are available at these caches that are found littered throughout Helltide areas.
The sky darkens and the rivers run red, meteors fall from the sky, and the monsters get harder. We really want to
Cats and dogs
create
living
some
together.
experiences for the
All that.
players. There's one I really like called Whispers of the Dead, which you get from the Tree of Whispers. The Tree of Whispers is grim and a little gruesome, but it's also something mystically haunting and kind of beautiful.
The tree has a little bit of a grudge against our players, and it would like for them to go serve its needs. So you're going to go serve these bounties, gather different rewards, different items, and bring them back to the tree in hopes that it can exchange you something really meaningful.
Maybe you're gonna go to the Fractured Peaks and take out some werewolves that are rampaging in a town. They're contained activities that you can do alone or in a group. We really wanted to create variety for people to be able to spend time where they wanted to in the world. It's very cool the way it's been put together, and I can't wait for people to see it, to be honest.
In Diablo 4, we have a focus on the world of Sanctuary. And there are parts of that world that we call the Fields of Hatred, where Lilith's presence in Sanctuary has begun to seep through and manifest these poisonous areas throughout the world. When players go to these regions, they get to engage in player versus player conflict.
These offer opportunities for the player to collect shards. But there is a little bit of a catch. In order to get these shards back to town, you'll need to purify them. Other players will definitely know that you're attempting to purify your shards, so you'd better be prepared to fight if you're going to be playing any PvP, and be prepared that you might lose some stuff in the meantime.
Once they've got the purified shards, they can take these, go back to nearby towns to sell them, and then use that to buy a whole bunch of
It's very similar to like the Dark Zone in Division.
like interesting cosmetic items and rewards.
It's a place for people who really love PvP and want to still get loot and still increase their character's power. If that's the way they want to play, they can.
Launch is just the beginning. One of the things we're really focused on is creating a living, breathing set of updates for players to engage with after the game has gone live.
It's really just going to be a way to keep
basically
coming back
an
and
MMO.
experiencing more Diablo 4 in fresh ways.
We're really eager to hear all of your experiences and just enjoy the entire story with you all.
All right. I'm not sure what about that video upset people. That all looked like very standard stuff to me. It all looks fine. So yeah, I don't know why that video upset people. Kind of crazy. For those who are watching on YouTube, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the video right there. So thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next one.